What's the most unusual experience you've ever had in business?
So I was managing a hotel in Australia during the pilot strike. It's something you may not have ever heard about, but in Australia, going back in the late 80s, all the pilots of all the airlines went on strike for about 9 months or so. And it was dramatic. It devastated the hotel industry, as you can imagine. So we had to deal with that. That was one. When I came to Asia and I shifted, I'd been in Thailand and I got a transfer to Indonesia, to Surabaya, to manage a hotel in Surabaya. On the plane, while I was in Thailand, the Asian financial crisis was hitting. And I was on the plane on my way to Surabaya in Indonesia, and I read the newspaper and it said, Indonesia's now just getting hit with a financial crisis. Oh, good.
Yay.
But while I was living in Indonesia, President Suharto went down, and I was living there, and there was riots all around the country and people were getting murdered, and it was devastating. And so we had to deal with that situation in the hotel. We didn't know whether the rioters were going to come and smash our hotel like they did in many places in the country at the time.
Scary.
It was very scary. There were military control. There were tanks going around the city. There was many places were cut off with barbed wire, and it was a very scary time. And many of the expats just fled the country.
And you didn't?
And I did not. I stayed there to face it all. And then when I moved to China, and I was living in Jinan, managing the Sofitel Jinan at the time, SARS hit, right? So it was just as bad as COVID. It was really devastating. Occupancy of the hotel went down to about 3%, and we were trying to cope, and we weren't allowed to take guests in and all this sort of thing. And then coming to Vietnam, and we all experienced COVID, and I can recall when COVID first hit and there was lockdowns and the world was turning to custard, people were saying, "Oh my God, we've never experienced this before. What's going on?" I thought, well, I have. I was in China during SARS, so it was very, very similar. It didn't last as long, but it was a very similar situation, So those unusual, devastating times in these various countries, I've had to cope with those sorts of things. So that was challenging.